welcome back to the Compliance Kitchen. This is Sylvia, and today I want to take a quick look at a recent proposed rule that came down from the SEC, and they also requested a public comment. Before we get there, please note that what you hear on Compliance Kitchen is not legal advice, and it should not be used as such. Now, going into this SEC proposed rule, this was on or about March 21st. And the proposed rule, if it is adopted as written, would mean that domestic and foreign registrants would be required to make a variety of climate-related impact and risk disclosures in their registration statements and also in their annual filings under the Securities Exchange Act of 1934. Current voluntary reporting by some companies is not consistent across the registrants, so the SEC identified a need to provide investors with a standardized framework to provide meaningful, consistent, and decision-useful disclosure. In the proposed rule, climate-related risks are defined as the actual or potential negative impacts of climate-related conditions and events on a registrant's consolidated financial statement, business operations, or value chains as a whole. And the value chain is defined as upstream and downstream activities related to a registrant's operations. So if the rule ends up being adopted, it would mandate that registrants include climate-related disclosures concerning corporate governance, climate risks, greenhouse gas emissions, and financial statement metrics. And the proposal also includes a phased approach to the compliance date based on the type of filer. So large accelerated filers would be required to comply 1 year following the effective date with Scope 3 emissions disclosures trailing 1 year later. And accelerated and non-accelerated filers would be required to comply with these climate disclosure rules 2 years following the effective date with, again, Scope 3 emissions disclosures trailing the following year. And then smaller reporting companies would be required to comply 3 years following the effective date and are exempt from the Scope 3 emissions disclosures. Now, again, this is a proposed rule, so it has not been adopted yet, and the SEC has requested a public comment on this proposed rule. Comments are due 60 days from the date of issuance, so that would be May 20th, or it's also 30 days after publication in the Federal Register, whichever period is longer. So if you want to take a closer look at this is available on SEC's website, and there's also information on how to comment on this proposed rule.